Kyle here from All Media Reviews, here to do the last several, hopefully shorter, videos about Kevin Gilbert's album Thud. The Thud tracks, the sort of extra tracks that weren't on the standard track list, the 10 tracks that I've already done videos for. So the first one here I'm going to do is about his cover of the song Kashmir, Led Zeppelin's Kashmir. There's only really two versions. I mean, you could say there's three versions maybe, and they came on. What did I do with it? They came on different. They came on different. Hold on a second here. Different versions. All right. Just continue on here. They came on different. The Kashmir was put on several different versions of Thud or different things. There's a version, of course, on. Well, it was a single. I have this. This is the version that came with the bonus CD, the Kashmir EP. As you can see, the track, it's like, don't. Does it say, stop whining, it's free. After there was demand. It was supposed to be on the Encomium Led Zeppelin tribute album, but it didn't happen. But then he started playing on KLS, and all people wanted to hear it. But then it was later included on. Let's see if I can get this correct. Yes, Nuts, the Nuts compilation of 2009. And then the anniversary edition has, on the vinyl and the CD has a version of it. It's really the same version that I can tell. But then with that same time when the 20th anniversary came out, this thing, what was it, a studio, the Nuts version, studio version. I'm not misplacing my information here. The Uncontrolled, no, I'm not talking about here. It was on here too, I believe. But then the most recently on is an Uncontrolled mix, which came out on Thud Alternate, whatever it was back in December. So there's not a lot of differences in the studio version, and really it's just the Uncontrolled mix. There's one note I should add though after I'm talking about it. The studio version's 4 minutes and 27 seconds, and the Thud Alternate Uncontrolled mix is 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It's like 3 seconds difference. So, just talking about it just first and foremost, it's a fantastic cover. It's a song that, I mean, I grew up in high school, really was. Before that, I didn't know Led Zeppelin, but it wasn't my favorite Led Zeppelin song, but I always liked Kashmir. I kind of know why. It was like Black Dog and Misty Mountain Hop was like a staple of FM radio and classic rock radio for Zeppelin. It was one of the 5 most thought of Zeppelin songs, even though it was later Zeppelin. And over time, I still appreciated it, but it's not my favorite Zeppelin song. I mean, I love Physical Graffiti. It's on Physical Graffiti. But, it was going to be on that tribute, and Kevin, he was quoted as saying when he was asked about, why I didn't have him on the tribute, or what is you want to do a Zeppelin tribute? It's like, well, who's going to do Kashmir? No one wanted to take on doing Kashmir, this epic, sort of Middle Eastern sounding influence piece. Would have liked to heard like the Tea Party try it actually, but and Jimmy Necco actually did a version a few years ago that was pretty damn good, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, of ours. But him, and it wasn't just him. It was really Kevin with the guy's name is Corky James, the guitarist. Really came up with that abridged, clever, rearranged version. I mean, it really is a different song in a lot of ways. It takes a lot of the motifs and parts that song is known for, and sort of does them different instrumentally at different tempo, and it just kind of reinvents the song. And it's kind of like Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah from Leonard Cohen. I've come to conclude it to me definitely is the definitive version of Kashmir, despite the fact barely anyone knows it. Although, given that it got the radio play that it did for a small window of time on KLOS and parts of the country in 1995, maybe 96, it might be actually considered Kevin Gilbert's most famous solo track. It's considered a solo song of his. As odd as it is, and I always kind of go back and forth between whether that's my favorite cover he did or was it Back in New York City. It's tough. But it's, it's got things like the organ riffs just really up there, and with the tabla djembe that's played by Tos Panos, I believe. The fast driving riff after these banging drums, and Kevin has those all piled up yellow desert screen, the Shangri-La beneath the summer moon moving. It's a different vocal arrangement in effect, but the organ just continues to sort of feel its presence. I don't know if it's Kersner or who played that organ or a synthesizer that sounds like an organ. The tempo is just so much different. Even it's a little faster. It's so that tempo in the bridge, you hear the drums come in. And the other thing that's noticeable is they did this when they did the Yes Siberian Kachru thing. They referenced Heart of the Sunrise. They referenced Dancing Days in there. Dun, 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 dun. Kevin always liked to throw. I don't know if maybe that was Corky, but my guess it was Kevin who liked to throw in little bits of another band stuff just as like a little nugget. Filled with sand, this wasted land, trying to find where I be. Some of the vocal parts he draws out. He sings softly, trying to find, that ooh, yeah, yeah. Plant does that kind of an epic way, but it's not like yelling. Kevin's yelling it. So yeah, I mean the difference being, yeah. So there's two versions. The Nuts version's 4 seconds difference. I mean, there might be. I don't think it really is, but I think I heard the vocals mixed slightly different. Like the ooh yeah yeahs were a little different, but I mean it's the version that ended up on Nuts here versus the version that it's got to be very very similar. The mix is slightly different. I think the mix on the Uncontrolled mix on here is a little more noticeable. At 2:28 he sings "Oh Father." It sounds like it's different lyrics. He hangs out the oh a little longer. The organ seems to be mixed even higher. And the Dancing Days riff after All I See Turns to Brown. So, I mean, there's slight differences on this version. And he says, like, can you? Trying to find, can you at the end. I mean, it was a slightly different performance, but as a whole, I mean, among all the tracks on Thud, the differences on the Kashmir is minimal. It's, but it's such a fantastic song. Why would he want to do it? I mean, he must have been pretty happy with it, and Corky James. So, but the note I wanted to add, and I'm going to go on to I'm going to do these all separately, these extra tracks, the non-standard studio tracks. This version, this EP that was included with it, as you can see, it's still shrink wrapped. Still have the shrink wrap. I don't remember where I got this, but it has some extra tracks on the EP, and I was just looking at that, and I had never gotten around to ripping this to my computer. So it includes you wouldn't call it that much of a different version of Shadow Self. It's an unreleased. Let's see if I can find. There it is. It's listed as unreleased song or something like that, but it's actually Shadow Self, the hidden shortened version, which is 6 minutes and 47 seconds. Just listening to it, just quickly, yeah, it's not really much different. There's different versions of Shadow Self. It's just basically like a slightly abridged version of I don't think there's anything different in the mix or performance, but this also includes the live and acoustic Westwood One radio version of Joytown, and it has Waiting, the other version, which I believe is on here. I talked about in the Waiting video, so. This is kind of a gem. I know you can't. I mean, you can probably find it on eBay. That's where I found, I think, or maybe. But it's definitely a rarity, and it among all the Kevin Gilbert collection, Kevin Gilbert collection, it'd have to be in the top 3 most rare, along with the Toy Matinee original pressing vinyl and the vinyl for NRG. This has to be up there. Yeah, it's a nice tidbit to learn. I mean, I wish I would have talked about the shortened version slightly in the Shadow Self video, but I'll make that announcement on the last video. But thank you for watching. I'll go on to the next 2 extra tracks in a minute here. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.